in November, potentially, in the United States, is a major political event known as the midterm elections, in which the Congress and House of Representatives fate will be decided if it will remain Republican or Democrat. However, with the events going on in the world, with everything Trump is doing, Republicans, including Trump, are worried that they will lose control of both the Senate and the House, which would theoretically be bad news for Trump. And let me tell you why. As the Republicans control both party, House and Senate, it makes passing laws easier that are Republican laws. So things that the Republicans want passed, they will be able to do so as they control both chambers, which means they don't have much resistance and can pass legislation and laws that are more favorable towards Republicans. However, if the Democrats are able to take control of the House and the Senate, they will be able to make Trump's, administration a lot more frustrating, you might say, for Trump, giving him more migraines, as he will not be able to pass as many legislations, executive orders, and laws that he would want, as it would have to be voted by a Democrat-controlled House and Senate. But on top of that, you have the issue of Democrats are looking to possibly have Trump impeached for a third time, which if they control the House and the Senate, they could do. And so then Trump would have to worry about many battles with impeachment again, all while trying to explain his actions with the rising costs in oil and gas at home, immigration problems, affordability going skyrocketing, inflation, the whole problem of the Department of Homeland Security still lacking funding due to lack of ICE reforms. But you also got to the fact that Trump has gotten involved in the war with Iran and Israel, which, if you'll remember his campaign promises he made when he was running for re-election for a second term, he said he would no longer get America tangled up in endless conflicts overseas. Well, the problem with that is he has done numerous conflicts. He's bombed numerous countries, and he's began a war against Iran. But Trump has done this with Venezuela. I believe he also attacked Nigeria, Sudan, and he's attacked Syria too, the Houthis in Yemen, and he's also attacked, what else has he attacked? Well, you get the picture. And now, by starting this war in Iran, it's essentially going against his entire campaign promises, but it's also going against his own political sponsoring base, MAGA, Make America Great Again. Trump made some comments about how by starting this war, it would be easier to have a regime change. Now, if you'll remember correctly, the last time the U.S. tried some regime changes in the Middle East, or in countries like Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, all disasters. Libya is probably one of the most devastating ones, as Libya was a promising, prospering country at one point before the U.S. got involved with the United Nations, and now it's a third world dump, essentially. It's got no democracy. It's just collapsed completely. It's horrible. Iraq is finally recovering from the Iraqi war from 2003, but Iraq is still struggling. It's not fully independent and able to, prosper without assistance from other countries yet. Afghanistan, well, we all know what happened. The Taliban has regained control of that after they booted the U.S. out. Thanks, Joe. But back to Iran. The regime change is not going to happen. Iran has destroyed the U.S. credibility in the region. U.S. bases in the region were meant to be for providing security to the Gulf states like Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, etc. But what's happening is that no security has been given by the U.S. as the U.S. has been taking hit after hit. They have had, six straddle tankers, super straddle tankers, damaged, one destroyed when it crashed in Iraq, killing 6 servicemen members, which is a heavy blow to the U.S. military, by the way, but that'll be another video. But you also have to remember that the U.S. is using a whole essential amount, is exhausting its resources with its interceptors, its munitions, launching them against cheaply made drones by Iran, which is costing the United States taxpayer billions of dollars, which soon could be trillions of dollars in taxpayer money and, military defense that is being destroyed quicker than it can be replaced, whereas Iran is able to mass produce these Shahad drones, like 500 a month, which is overwhelming air defenses, and the asymmetrical warfare of launching drones and missiles is also overwhelming the air defenses. But back to the main topic. Because of this war in Iran that, the U.S. got dragged into to serve Israel's interest, not America's, the midterms are looking not great for Trump. The American public is not in favor of the war, and they were not before they launched Operation Epic Fury, and they are not now. Trump's political numbers are down to shitter. He's trying to pull attention away from his name in the Epstein files, and unfortunately for Trump, it is not going to work, as once the war in Iran is over, the U.S. loses Iran, bombs out Israel, the focus is going to return back to Trump's involvement in the Epstein files. It is because of these reasons and others that the likelihood of the Republicans winning the Senate and the House of Representatives is pretty low, slim to none. It's unlikely. And this has got Trump worried, which is why he's made threats of, labeling fake news media coverage on the Iran war as treasonous, is what he said. He also made a very interesting comment the other day. He said that they don't need to keep bombing Iran, but he wants to do it because, just for fun. What the hell does that even mean? Just for fun. War is not fun. War is bad. But apparently Trump didn't get the memo when his tyranny school from future presidents. But I just wanted to mention that because, it's disgusting, some of the things he said about the war and how he thinks it was supposed to be a quick war, but it's not. And as a result, the Strait of Hormuz is shut down. Oil prices are rising beyond $100 a barrel. The global economy is hurting. America is starting to feel the hurt of Trump's stupidity and foolishness to rush into a war of Israel's choosing. The attack on Mirab Elementary School by the U.S. is being investigated as a potential war crime, and Israel is open to front with Hezbollah, which is causing a lot of destruction in Lebanon, but also taking casualties from the IDF soldiers. But the IDF continues to censor a lot of information about casualties and destruction from Hezbollah and Iranian missiles. Israel is taking a lot of economic and infrastructural damage, and it seems likely that Israel is running low on interceptors, which is why we saw a few days ago the U.S. Unload a heavy cargo military aircraft into Israel, which is being considered or analyzed as potential interceptors to help with defense, but also to help keep the Israeli military aircraft offensive stable. Because ironically, both sides are burning through interceptors and defense and weaponry like wildfire through a dry wooden forest, where Iran is honestly not really burning through as much of their stuff because they're in it for the long run. And I think Trump totally miscalculated his odds of success here. He thought the war in Iran was going to be as easy as going into Venezuela in one night, take their leader, and boom, bully the country into submitting to America's will. It's not done that. Iran has not done that. They have not done anything the U.S. and Israel expected or was hoping for. So far, what we know is that the U.S. wanted and Israel wanted the regime change. So they thought by killing Ali Khamenei and destroying the political leadership, it would result in Iranian protesters coming out to the streets and protesting against the government. But in reality, that has not happened. In fact, the opposite has happened, where you have Iranians rallying around the flag and rallying in support of the government. A huge miscalculation for two warmongering countries such as the United States and Israel. But as the war continues, it will be more and more costly and economically painful for the Trump administration and Israel. It will be militarily painful as well, as more U.S. soldiers will eventually be killed in action due to bad leadership, lack of planning, and no exit strategy. And I read an article yesterday how the U.S. and Israel are getting desperate, how the U.S. is starting to hope, and this is not good, but they are hoping that with the war going on in Iran, it will lead to self-terrorism in the U.S., where Iranian agents will have mass terrorism attacks here in the States. According to the article I read, the hope is that if that should happen, it could actually boost Trump's popularity. It could also boost support for his war in Iran by the fact that by having self-terrorism in the U.S., it confirms that what Trump was saying about Iran being a global state sponsor of terrorism, and it would give him some credibility in launching the war illegally against Iran. It could help his midterms, but here's the scary thing. If that would happen, he could call a state of emergency and have midterms canceled until the war ends, which means there will be less political pressure on Trump to end the war. Scary, right? Ooh. That's all for now.